Just a reminder that these videos are made for adult doll collectors or adults buying dolls for others. This is not a video for children. Viewer discretion is advised. Thank you very much for listening. When it comes to doll history and archival efforts, there are a lot of lines and companies that slip through the cracks. Websites like Ghost of the Doll and the still-in-progress Dollect.net are doing their part to keep the memory of many short-lived or obscure lines alive. And it's been fun to try to do my part as well through this documentary series. Besides being able to introduce you all to some dolls you may never have heard of, it's also led to new discoveries for myself. For instance, Star Model Agency, who I covered in the last installment, and who accidentally led me to a treasure trove of unknown Jakks Pacific dolls. It began with a spin-off of sorts from the Star line called Fairytale Favorites, and from there I went down a rabbit hole of research to try and make sense of what Jakks Pacific was up to in the 90s. What I found was endless listings from eBay, Mercari, and other secondhand sites, but no properly archived list. So join me as I try to piece together what I'd like to call the random world of generic Jakks dolls. Hello Internet! My name is Kelsey and welcome back to my closet. So it's been a little bit since I made the Star video because I wanted this to be the follow-up since it's kind of all connected in a way, as you'll see. And it took a lot longer than I thought because there is just a lot to look at. This is probably going to be a longer one. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. I really enjoyed learning about all of this, and I'm glad that I am able to find a way to preserve this information and share it with everyone. So sit back and relax. This is going to be a little different since we don't really have to go into the history of the company, but it should still be fun. Let's begin with the aforementioned Fairytale Favorites. Often lumped in with the Star line, these dolls reuse their body and face sculpts with a public domain fairytale overlay. A very Disney-inspired overlay at that, besides Rapunzel, who didn't exist at the time through Disney, and Red Riding Hood, who still hasn't been adapted in an animated capacity. But just the fact that they included Pocahontas in this line, who really shouldn't be included with a fantasy set of characters in the first place, should give you a clue to where they got their inspiration from. Or just straight up Jasmine, with no explanation of what story she's supposed to be from. Snow White is basically identical to her Disney counterpart, and I'm rather surprised that the Little Mermaid didn't have red hair. And then we have Princess and the Beast, which is very obviously Belle with a normal prince who is not a beast. But that does bring up one of the more fascinating parts of this line, the inclusion of the princes. Also heavily inspired by their Disney versions. Where there were no male dolls included in the Star line, this line has a boy included in every set. It's too bad that there were no casual clothes made for them so that they could be male models for the Star Model Agency, but at least they are pretty cute, even if they're kind of generic in the face. Strangely enough, this would be the only time that Jakks made male dolls, until they started to make actual Disney characters in the 2000s. Despite the obvious attempts to rip off the mouse, Fairytale Favorites was a pretty decent line. It had a variety of face sculpts and hair colors used for the various princesses, the inclusion of the princes, and the quality doesn't seem to have dropped between Star and these Fairytale dolls. Like the Star line, Fairytale Favorites utilized a lot of different materials for their outfits and had pretty complex construction for something on a much smaller scale than even a standard size fashion doll. They're a great companion piece to the Star Model Agency. The websites I used to research for the Star video had sections for the Fairytale Favorites, as if they were actually part of the Star line. It was through researching and trying to see if these were truly supposed to be part of the Star line that I discovered the other dolls from Jakks Pacific. For all that Star and the Fairytale Favorites dolls were well made, in the doll world, size does matter. Full-size fashion dolls have always sold better than mini dolls. And with this realization, Jakks would attempt to grow their doll sales by growing their dolls. This is where things get a bit harder to follow. Jakks seem to have no rhyme or reason when releasing the majority of their standard size fashion dolls. Boxes were labeled as if they were part of a series, only to have 1 or 2 dolls in the line. Other lines were started only to be abandoned after one set. Character names were used and reused on wildly different dolls, and most dolls had no name at all. It was very much a throw it at the wall and see what sticks situation. To try and make some sense of it all, I've broken down the dolls into categories. Even then, because these dolls have not been kept track of well over the years, there's a good possibility that there are more dolls than even I was able to find pictures of, but I tried to cover as many as possible. Segueing from Fairytale Favorites, the first category is princesses, though only a few of the characters made the leap to full size. These included Snow White, who still very much resembled her Disney version, Sleeping Beauty, and Red Riding Hood. But someone at Jakks was clearly obsessed with Cinderella, because she had the most dolls made of her out of all the princesses. Not only did she have several different basic versions, but she was also given 3 separate holiday makeovers, and was even featured in a ballet outfit. They also made African-American versions of Cindy. One final public domain princess made by Jakks was Rapunzel, who only existed in a holiday version at the 1/6 scale. Interestingly, her design is very similar to Tangled's Rapunzel, despite being 10 years early. So maybe Disney got a little payback for Jakks borrowing their designs? I'm totally joking. Besides these named princesses, there was also a 2-doll line called Graceful Princess, featuring a blonde and a brunette in generic but pretty princess ball gowns, with cute details. These are perhaps my favorite find for this video. Thoughtfully made and featuring gorgeous materials and details, these dolls were dressed in period clothing that beautifully captured the aesthetics of the time. The Victorian romance line came in 2 waves. The first contained 3 dolls in elegant gowns, dripping with lace, ribbons, and beading, and the second wave, A Walk by the Sea, featured outfits that might have been worn for a trip to the beach. Or at least near the beach, because we definitely do not want to get any sand in our petticoats. If you've been watching me for long enough, you know that Victorian is one of my favorite aesthetics, and so the lace, frills, and silhouettes on these dolls are extremely appealing to me. These outfits are also quite complex for a 1/6 scale, and the fact that each one is so vastly different shows how much care Jakks put into their product. They wanted to properly represent the decadent fashions of the era, without copy and pasting. And in my eyes, they succeeded. This was equally true for the sister line, Gibson Girl Romance. I was unaware of this term before making this video, so here's a brief lesson. A Gibson girl was used to describe the ideal female in the 1890s through the 1910s, which somewhat overlaps with Victorian style. It's why we can see some similar silhouettes, like the flare-bottom skirts, as well as lace, florals, and pearls. However, there's a distinctly sleeker look to the Gibson girl, as well as an emphasis on big updo hairstyles. These lovely dolls again capture the heart of this era of fashion, with stunning outfits and attention to detail. It's a crying shame the line didn't continue, as I would have loved to see their take on gothic or even flapper romance. Great Gatsby, anyone? A common theme that you'll see if you look up these Jakks dolls on secondhand sites is Barbie being part of the title. To the untrained eye, it's quite an easy mistake to make, especially if the doll doesn't have its packaging anymore. But this is no coincidence, as there's no doubt in my mind that Jakks' foray into 1/6 scale dolls was an attempt to compete with the Queen herself. That brings us into our largest category, the Barbie knockoffs. With a blonde, blue-eyed character at the forefront, Jakks made several dolls with themes commonly used by Barbie. These included birthday celebration dolls, ballerinas, and ice skaters. Oh, and holiday dolls. Lots and lots of holiday dolls. While the outfits lacked some of the extravagance and experimental grandeur of Barbies, they were still festive and made with the same level of quality as the other Jakks dolls. Some of them were named, such as Amanda Starr in the special holiday collection. With a more childish face than Starr's, Amanda was only used for a few dolls in the holiday seasons of 97 and 98. Which brings up an interesting fact about Jakks' holiday dolls. Rather than only making one signature holiday design per year, they produced multiple different designs in a year. This makes them feel more collectible even than holiday Barbies, whose only variations are usually in skin tone. After Amanda, Star's face returned for several years, a few times still being labeled as Amanda, as the line transitioned from Special Holiday Collection into Magical Holiday. Dresses tended to stick to a basic ball gown silhouette, but the materials, trims, and colors used were widely varied. African American and brunette variants also made an appearance, though it's difficult to find pictures of these variants for each version of the doll. Magical Holiday would branch off into another line called Holiday Elegance. This featured a completely new face mold, with slightly larger eyes and a less sultry expression than Star's. Holiday Elegance ran concurrently with Magical Holiday, though there was nothing all that distinct between the two lines to warrant them being separate. At the turn of the century, when Barbie was updating her face, Star's face would also get a refresh. Her eyes would become a bit narrower, and her eyebrows tilt down slightly to give a more mature, fiercer look. The line's name would transition again from Magical Holiday to the entirely new and totally not at all the same Holiday Magic. And some dips in quality can be seen. The packaging was a bit plainer, as well as some of the details on the dresses, which marks a turning point in Jakks' history. It wouldn't be long before Jakks Pacific would stop producing holiday dolls altogether, and eventually all the Barbie clones. Though there is one final doll that I would like to touch on before we wrap this up. Going back in time a bit in Jakks' history, let me introduce you to a doll who gets a category all to herself. This is Rachel. As can be seen on her various boxes, she was produced in the early life of Jakks, as the old logo is used. She's made appearances both in a regular fashion collection, featuring transforming dresses, and as a holiday doll. What makes her special enough to get her own segment, though, is her face. She has to be one of the earliest uses of inset eyes on a fashion doll. Once again, this shows how innovative and forward-thinking Jakks Pacific can be, as inset eyes would not become a standard of quality until many years later in the 2010s. Rachel has also been called Missy and Caitlin over various releases, but her boxes always advertised natural-looking crystal eyes. You may notice there's a striking resemblance in them to Jakks Couture's True Eyes in their original release. It proves that the company has what it takes to do amazing things in the doll world, if they could only find an IP that would stick. You may also notice that Amanda's Star had inset eyes. Though not as deep and natural looking as Rachel's, they were still beautiful. It could be that the production cost of the eyes cut short both Amanda and Rachel's lifespans, but they mark an important milestone in fashion doll history. As mentioned before, there is a good possibility that there are even more of these generic Jakks Pacific dolls out there that no one has cataloged, but I hope that this was still an interesting journey for you all. Unfortunately, these days Jakks has been relegated mainly to producing licensed toys, rather than original IPs. Most likely this is a symptom of being an underdog in the doll market, along the lines of Spin Master and Moose. But out of those three, and still in their Disney and Illy dolls, Jakks continues to surprise. Every Jakks doll that I've interacted with, from Star to Jakks Couture, Illy, and even Star Darlings, has brought something special to the table, whether thoughtful design, quality materials, excellent articulation, or innovative features. It's truly a shame that they seem to have given up on creating their own doll line, because in this golden age of doll collecting, I feel that they could create something that could rival even the Rainbow and Monster Highs of the world. But if that day never comes, at least we have the beautiful backlog of random dolls that prove that names aren't everything. Alright guys, and now, as is tradition in the doll-cumentary, I have a couple of samples of Jakks' work from the 90s. Now, as you saw in the video, there were a lot to choose from, but I narrowed it down to 2 for now. There's no promises that I won't go back and get more in the future, especially the Victorian Romance line. I really wanted to get one from Victorian Romance, but the one that I really wanted was not available anywhere. I'm hoping one day she'll pop up in the future. But for now, I did get one of the Gibson Girl romance dolls because I knew I had to get at least one of the romance dolls to share with you guys, because they and some of the holiday dolls are probably my favorites that I found when researching the video. So I did get a holiday doll as well. This is one of my favorites from the extensive list. There's just so many of them. But I figured she's really comparable to a holiday Barbie. She's gonna stand up right next to them and blend right in. I really also would have liked to get a Rachel, but I didn't find any of her, at least not in time for making this video. Maybe in the future I would make a separate video unboxing her. So anyway, let's look at these boxes real quick. So most of Jakks's boxes, from the princesses to the holiday dolls to the romance lines, all had a pretty similar format, with this angled curve at the front and a big window. As you can see, it's the same thing here, only the details of the decoration on the packaging are different. So for the holiday doll, this is one of the ones with the star face. We have some gold foiling on the outside of the package. It says Magical Holiday down here with some roses. She is from 1998, based on the little tag on her wrist. And she's very, very pretty. I'll be interested to see what kind of hair fiber she has. Oh, and down here you can see Jakks's really old logo in the corner. There's plastic on the top and the bottom instead of cardboard, which is gonna make this more of a collectible kind of box. Like, you probably easily keep this and reuse it because it's nice and sturdy. On the back here, it says Magical Holiday Collection, and it says Magical Holiday Doll Series. Step into the magic of the holidays with your very own Magical Holiday doll. She's so beautiful, with her long wavy hair, exquisite gown, and sparkly jewels. You'll have hours of fun styling her hair and getting her ready for the ball. At the holiday ball, she'll dance till dawn under the starlit sky with her favorite boyfriend. Or two. She's perfect for collectors of all ages. Light up your holiday and the new year too, with the Magical Holiday doll. Damn. She's a two-timer? Or maybe she's just in a polycule. Alright, and then we have the Gibson girl. I picked this one because I love the dusty rose color of her gown, and she's got the extra little silk flowers decorating her dress. She's just super pretty. I mean, all of them are really pretty. I would love to get this one in the blue as well. She kind of reminds me of a saloon girl in a way. And it also, the subtitle is A Night in Paris. These are all Parisian ladies, or at least ladies that went to visit Paris and are hanging out in their pretty dresses. There's no fancy description on the back of this box, but interestingly enough, there's a different logo from the logo on the Magical Holiday box. I guess these ones are a little bit newer than Magical Holiday. And it says again, clothing fits all 11.5-inch fashion dolls, doll gown, hair accessory, fan or scarf, doll stand, and other fashion accessories. So these ones do come with a stand. I just hope it's not like the star stand, because if so, then it's pretty much useless. Let's get these ladies out of the box so that we can look at them more closely. So now that she's out of the box, that's just what the background looks like. Kind of like the windows of a catering hall, I guess, since she's supposed to be at a ball. And here is the back of the Gibson girl package, which is just the Eiffel Tower and the streets of Paris. Okay, so first let's look at the Magical Holiday doll. And there was a bunch of tissue paper under her dress to keep the volume. So here is her face, and it is super duper adorable. I really like the mold. It has some of that Superstar Barbie quality to it, which was the main face for Barbie at the time, and obviously they were trying to copy it probably to trick old grandmas who were buying dolls for their kids. But honestly, if you bought me this doll instead of a Barbie, I can't say that I would be disappointed, because it's not like she's like a dollar store doll that has papery, cheap fabric. She really passes for a brand name doll. And her outfit is super pretty too, but we'll get to that in a minute. Now the hair, it's not Kanekalon, that's for sure. It might be poly. It's kind of got that hardness that poly has, and it's also pretty dry at the bottom. But then again, it's hard to tell when you have an old doll that's been in the box the whole time and the hair hasn't been touched. But I feel like in the 90s, poly was different anyway. If that's a fiber that was used, it was a little bit nicer. Or maybe this is an entirely different fiber that I don't even know. Maybe it's saran. maybe it's something else. It's hard to say. In general though, it's kept pretty nicely. I mean, we still have some curl to it at the bottom. The style is still intact. We have the cute little curled bangs. We have this gold bow here with a silver star in the middle. Her makeup is pretty heavy pink eyeshadow. There is a little bit of blue as well, closer to the eye. Her eyes themselves are blue, and she has a reddish pink lipstick. She does have little earrings. They're just little gold studs. I don't think they are removable. If they are, they're like way stuck in there and you're not gonna get them out easily. So then we get down to the outfit. So the dress is made of this deep burgundy velveteen material. The underside is nylon, and so it's kind of thin, but I don't dislike it. I think it's a material that holds a shape, because like I showed you, there was tissue paper under here, but even without the tissue paper, I think that this dress will hold its volume. And it is soft. I love the color. It's definitely a very Christmassy color, especially with the gold accents. And that's why I picked her specifically, because I really love the red and the gold together. So on the top here, around the collar, we have this double layer ruffle. The bottom is a shiny metallic gold material, and then there is a layer of white and gold lace over top with what kind of looks like poinsettias stitched into the lace. And the ruffle does continue all the way around the collar. There are gold straps to help hold the dress up while still giving it kind of an off-the-shoulder look. We have the same silver star as is in her hair right here on the chest, with a little gold ribbon coming out of it. And then in the center of the dress, we have more of that lace going all the way down in a panel on the front of the skirt. It is layered over some white satin. As you can see, there are 2 layers here. And I love the pops of gold thread in the lace. I think it adds a lot of extra shimmer. Also on the edges of the panel in the front here, we have more of that metallic gold material in a ruffle, ending in a bow, which is a little bit folded from being in the package forever, but it's the same gold material in a big bow with another silver star, and that is on both sides of the panel. And that is pretty much the dress. You know, it's simple. Like I said, it's simpler than a holiday Barbie, but not to the point that it feels, ew, why would I put this on display? She's still a very beautiful doll, and I think she is definitely going to blend in well with my other holiday Barbies, my actual holiday Barbies. She also comes with a little gold present. It's just a piece of foam or something wrapped in gold and a little gold string to tie it. It is rubber banded to her hand right now. I don't know how that rubber band has not rotted away and made the present fall after all these years, so I'm just not going to touch it too much to make sure that it doesn't do that. And then as far as articulation, I think most of these Jakks dolls have the same basic 5 points. So we have head, we have the shoulder, the arms can go forward and back. Oh, there it goes. Oh well. We have the shoulder going back and forth and up and down. She has hip articulation. They can't really spread apart. She has click knees, and she might have, yes, she does have a twist at the waist, which was the same articulation pretty much that Star had too. And while I was under here, I saw that she's got little bloomers on, so that's cute. Also, here's her little tag here that says 1998 Special Limited Edition. So that is almost everything that this doll comes with. The only other item is her shoes, which are a light metallic gold. They're just basic pumps. They did not come packaged on her. I just put them on right now. Ooh, she's got a dip in her leg from packaging. They're kind of silvery almost, but I think they're supposed to be gold. And there we have it. Magical Holiday 1998. Or at least one of them, because there were multiple 1998 dolls made by Jakks for the holidays. And now we get to our Gibson girl. One issue which is still an issue to this day with a lot of doll lines, is that they packaged in her outfit with T-ties, and therefore there are a lot of holes peeking out here and there because her outfit is mainly satin. She is so cute. Look at this. She is so gorgeous. So for this doll, her face is a little bit different from Magical Holiday. Let me fold her back in here. They're close. You can see that they have slightly different skin tones. Hers is a little more tan. The mouths are slightly different. I would say her lips look a little thinner. I mean, generally they're pretty close. Maybe her jaw is a little more narrow. But I love that even though Jakks did all of these dolls that were their attempt at a Barbie, they didn't just stick to a blonde-haired, blue-eyed doll for every single doll. Like, there always was a blonde-haired, blue-eyed doll around to try to be that Barbie for them. But they also had brunettes and redheads and black hair and African-American dolls, and they used different faces to make them different, and they didn't just recolor the same outfit 10 times and put it on a different doll with slightly different hair or something. They really put in effort to design these outfits and to make their dolls look different. So you would want to buy more than one. Back to her face. Her makeup, we have pretty intricate makeup actually. She has a line of orangey pink, then some green going towards the corner here, and then a light purple going all the way up to the eyebrow. And that's a kind of makeup look that I'm used to seeing on a more modern doll, but on a 90s doll, usually it's only one color of eyeshadow, so to see this 3-color eyeshadow is pretty impressive. She also has rooted eyelashes, which are pretty short, so they don't flare up and take over the eye or block the makeup too much. They just add slightly more dimension to the profile, you see? She has some blushing, she has a magenta colored lipstick, and then her hair is this nice chocolatey brown. She has the curled bangs in the front, this hairpiece with fake feathers and fake pearls, and this intricate bun that goes into a twisted braid, kind of. I don't know what terms you would use to describe this hairstyle, but again, this is a situation where I'm like worried about the rubber bands because I don't think I could recreate this myself. I really don't want this hairstyle to come undone because it's still perfect after all these years. She has a pearl necklace with a purpley gem at the center, and then we get down to the outfit, which is all this dusty rose satin. I will say that the grade of satin that is used for this doll is lesser than satin used on some more modern dolls. This is a stiffer, papery sounding satin, but I wouldn't say that it's bad because it definitely still gets the job done. It's shiny, it makes the dress look really sleek and fancy. It's just not as pleasing to the touch, I guess, as some other satins. But I don't hate it. I really don't hate it. I forgot to mention too, she does have little earrings. They're pretty much the same as the ones on the holiday doll. The Gibson girls either come with this wrap or a fan. So for this one, she came with a wrap, and we'll just take it off. Ooh. Look at the way that this outfit looks without the wrap. So it's just a wide piece of this satin, and it's, you know, creased and stuff from years of being in the same position, and of course there's some holes in it from the stupid T-ties. It's a big piece of material, and it is hemmed all the way around, so it is not going to fray. And now we can look at the outfit by itself. So there are kind of clear straps to help hold it up, or yeah, actually it looks like one strap that goes around the back of the neck. I'm not going to touch that because it's probably going to disintegrate, but I don't think it really needs that because this dress seems to be staying on her pretty well without it. So it's kind of an off the shoulder. We have a very slight sweetheart neckline with some gold trim here, and this, I love this. It's like tulle that they twisted up to look like roses, and then woven up and down between it is strings of fake pearls, and it continues all the way around the back and kind of makes it into straps for the dress, but it also dips under the bust into this purple silk rose with an extra gem hanging down from the bottom. We have little ribbon leaves on that. This is just a gorgeous detail. I love it. It's really fancy looking. She is just super pretty. I might not even want to put the wrap thing on her anymore because it's just, then you don't get to see as much of the detail of the strap. And then we get down into the dress. It is a fitted gown all the way down to about the knees, and then it flares out into this big skirt, and there's a couple of different panels. So we have the plain satin in the front, there's more of the purple silk roses at the corners of these other two panels, and on this side we have a netted material with gold thread, and that is on both sides of the skirt. Finally, let's just take a quick peek at her shoes, which again come packaged separately, and they are the same pump shape. Oh, she's got the same mark on her leg as the other one. But yeah, they're the same pump shape as the holiday doll, just in that dusty rose color. They match really well, actually, to the dress. Sometimes there's a disconnect in the color of a material to the plastic of a shoe, but they're pretty close. She also came with a little flat white comb. For her, it's kind of pointless since her hair's in this big updo. This would have done better on the holiday doll, especially because they mention on the back about styling her hair. But she did not come with a brush at all. And then we have the stand. So this is what the stand looks like. Actually, this might be one of the coolest stands that exists. Because you know what it is? Instead of being a saddle stand where it goes between the legs, or a waist clasp that you would see, this one, you just kind of hug the legs around it. Yeah, I mean, she's a little wobbly on it when I'm moving her around, but on a display, this is actually ingenious. Because it's hidden, but it's easy to put on. Jakks, you've done it again! If you couldn't tell, I think I've become a really big fan of Jakks. I think Jakks Pacific is one of those underdog doll companies that I'm gonna be rooting for the foreseeable future. I wish they were still making dolls like this. Jakks Pacific, where are you? I mean, I know we have the Illy dolls now from them, which are great, but I need more of this. More of Juku Couture. That would be awesome. More of Star Model Agency. Give me more Jakks. Let me know if you ever had any of these 11.5-inch Jakks Pacific dolls, if you remember anything, if you've ever seen them. I bet they're probably like lumped in with other dolls in thrift stores because people don't know what they are. They're kind of like hidden gems. I highly recommend getting one for yourself and seeing how they feel. They may not have as amazing quality as 90s Barbies did. There may be some areas where they're lacking, but there's a lot of other areas where they pick it back up and they just continue to impress me. And also let me know what other doll lines you'd like me to look at for the Doll-cumentary series, because I need some ideas. Anyway, thanks so much for watching the video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, share the video with your friends, and until next time, bye!